Not be emotional about this, but it's hard not to. So I'm a painter. That's what I do. I'm a landscape painter. And I thought, I want to do something to make sure that we remember how horrific this event was. But I didn't want to do a painting about a bombing. And so in the middle of the night, usually from 2 to 4 is when I'm awake, kind of agitated over what's going on in the world. And somehow it came to me that I was going to get 168 pairs of shoes and do something. So I started going to, and I didn't want to spend like a fortune. So I thought, well, I could spend $1 a pair. I can do that. So I'd go to thrift stores, and all the ones that were $1 I would buy, and then sometimes I'd barter with the people, and sometimes I could, like at one store I went to, I was getting a bunch, and the guy said, well, I can't really give you a volume discount, but I could give you the military discount. And in some perverse way, that seemed appropriate, and I said, okay. So I did that, and then one store I went to, this was maybe the 6th one. This was over a period of a week and a half. And I was at the checkout, and this guy, I don't think he's here today, he was invited, but he had a lot of tattoos, and he said, what are you doing with all these shoes? And I wasn't sure if I wanted to really get into the story, but I said, well, you heard about the school that was bombed in Iran and all the girls that died? And he said, yes. And I said, well, I'm gathering shoes to do some kind of art project. And he put his hand down, and he said, you can't buy these shoes. You take them, and you go back and get as many more as you want. So I did. And then I went to another store in Montrose. Same thing. I'm at the checkout, and she said, what are you doing with all these shoes? And I said, well, the school that was bombed in Iran? She said, no. And I said, okay, that's why I need to do this. So I got all these shoes. I had them on my porch and needed a place to put them. So I've started looking, and different groups have invited me to set them up. And each place, this is number 6, and wherever they get set up, there's a different configuration. And so you'll see what we're doing. It's out in the parking lot. As soon as I read something little to you, I'm going to go out and work with the kids, and we're going to do an installation here, and it'll be here for a few hours. So the first one I did was a spiral, and when you walked the spiral and you got into the middle, I wanted to have something there, and so I wrote this. It's called 168 Pairs of Shoes. There are so many things I want to ask you. What is your name? Do you have brothers and sisters? What's your favorite color? Do you prefer history or geography? Do you like pizza? Is there a food you hate? You don't have Kleenex up here, do you? Yeah, you do. Who's your best friend? What's a good book you've read? What do you want to become someday? Do your parents have your drawing taped to the refrigerator? Did your mother walk you to school? Did she kiss you goodbye and tell you to be a good girl? Were you wearing your favorite shoes? Were you in the middle of a spelling test? Did you have time to be scared, or was it too fast? After the explosion, was it silent, or was there screaming? I hope you won't be too upset with us. You were merely collateral damage. I didn't want to read that to the kids, so thank you for letting me do that here. And I'm going to go out and work with the kids. Thank you so much.
Good thing we left that box of tissues up here. figure out where I am. Offertory words. This community of care is created through our work and time together, our commitment to one another. This is our covenant. We walk together in loving fellowship to share our hopes and values. Oop. Sorry. Thank you. As we pass these baskets, we thank you for your generous gifts, which support the work of this religious community and Unitarian Universalism in the world at large. As a reflection of our values, we're pleased to participate in the Change for Change program. The coins placed in the basket today will support the work of Royce Hurst. With gratitude, we now receive today's offering.
When things happen in the world, there are a number of things that we can do in regards to what's happening. We can ignore it, we can deny it, we can embrace it, we can denounce it, we can become it, or we can transform it. And it's interesting when I posted on Facebook, on my Facebook page, that this art display by Virginia was going to be here today, I just was getting the word out, and it was interesting because I had somebody that I don't know comment that the bombing of the girls' school in Iran didn't happen. And I thought that's so interesting. And then when it was countered with, no, it did, and these are the articles, that are showing that this happened, then they came back with, well, there was a military installation there, so, and I wasn't quite sure where that person was going with that. But I was thinking that's so interesting, right? Like what we do in our own heads to make the world make sense. We ignore it, or we deny it, or we embrace it, we become it, we denounce it, or we can transform. And so that's what I've been thinking about this week, is who are we in relation to everything that's going on in the world? So today, we're acknowledging and we're honoring the young girls in a school in Iran that are no longer here with us. But how many children in Gaza are no longer here with us? How many children in the West Bank are no longer here with us? How many children in schools all over the United States are no longer here with us because of our own violence here in our own communities? And we like to say, oh, this is not who we are. But maybe that's the problem. Maybe this is exactly who we are, and we just don't want to admit it. And until we collectively, as a nation, begin to admit, if even to ourselves, we are a nation that bombs children's schools. We are a nation that doesn't protect our own children inside our own schools. We are a nation that looks the other way. Until we're willing to at least be honest about who we are and what we've done, then nothing is probably going to change. Ignore, deny, denounce, or become. And so what we do, because I can hear some of you thinking to yourself, well, that's great, Wendy, then what do we do? And I think what we do is exactly what we are doing right now, what we have been doing, what Virginia is doing. We witness, we ask those questions from the heart. Who are you? What was your name? Do you have brothers and sisters? What is your favorite color? Who is your best friend? Do you prefer history or geography? Do you like pizza? Do you sneak chocolate in the middle of the night when your mom's not watching? Who are you? This is what we do if we want to make a change, is that we have to be willing to be honest about who we are. And we are honest, I keep saying it's a both and, right? Because when I say we are a nation that bombs children and that shoots children in schools and those things are true, but we are also a nation that shows up on Sunday mornings together and creates a justice choir, that thinks we're a nation of individuals, of artists, of art teachers who say, this wasn't okay with me. I'm going to create something beautiful that I'm going to take all over the state and maybe the country in honor of these children I didn't know. We are the people who, for years during COVID, we had these beautiful pink panels all over our walls. And each panel was filled with hundreds and hundreds of little gold dots by another local artist who had a gold dot for every person that had died of COVID. That is who we are also. So we get to choose. Are we going to be the people who ignore and deny? Or do we maybe want to become the people who witness, right? There's a difference between witnessing something and ignoring something. There's a difference between we can be a witness of something without feeling like we just got sucker punched and all we want to do is crawl under our beds and go home and cry because we didn't like what we witnessed, right? We can witness something, we can discern, we can say, I see this, this is not okay, and I'm going to do something different. And that's where the transformation shows up. That's where we say, this may be part of who we are, but it's not all of who we are. And the part of who we are and who we have been is kind of loud right now, and it's very obnoxious, and it's showing up in really kind of strange memes with people with lights coming out of their hands and demons coming out of their head. But that doesn't have to be us. That doesn't have to be where the story ends. We get to say, I don't agree, I don't like, I am not represented by what this is being done. I want to be represented by the beautiful music of a justice choir. I want to be represented by art displays with 168 pairs of shoes. I want to be represented with beautiful pink panels and gold dots recognizing everybody that lost their life during COVID. I want to be recognized. I want to be part of something better. I want to be part of the transformation that is taking place in this country with each individual person who begins to open their heart and say, this is not who I choose to be represented. This is not how I choose to be represented. I choose to begin to transform this nation into a country that opens their arm and embraces the children. I choose to transform this country into a nation where children go to school with the innocence of complete safety. I choose to transform this nation into a collective of people who care about our environment and our waterways and our trees and our air. And we're going to do things to make things better, not just be sad or mad or angry or helpless because they're not how we want them to be right now. And so there is a lot of pain in the world. There is cruelty in the world. There is anger in the world. There is frustration. But I say this every week, and I guess I'll keep saying it, there is also hope. There is also beauty. What I'm talking about today has to be a both and. We can acknowledge what's happening all over the world, but then we create the beauty that comes from the love, that comes from the witness, that comes from the compassion of one person asking the question of themselves, what is your favorite color for these children? And Virginia told me her display was at the Methodist Church a few weeks ago in Montrose, and the shoes were in the shape of a heart. And she told me that they had 130,000 views and likes. So what that tells me is that people care. What tells me is that people want to be inspired. People want to have an avenue to show that they care. That tells me that for the most part, we are a people that have open, loving hearts. We just don't always know what to do, how to do it, what to say. But we are a really beautiful country, and we are a beautiful nation, and we are beautiful people that make up this nation. And we have so much more in common than divides us. And we just have to keep reminding ourselves of that over and over again. And sometimes we don't know what to do. When we hear the news and it feels so overwhelming, sometimes there are no words. We don't know what to say. We don't know what to do. And I remember years ago when I was in New England, I was doing a chaplaincy residency in Rhode Island, and I had been there for a few months when there was a large nightclub fire that happened with pyrotechnics, and it made the national news. And there were it was in a warehouse. There was a group. They did pyrotechnics, and the warehouse caught on fire. Nobody could get out, and 100 young people died. And I was one of the chaplains that was at the convention center that day. And there really weren't any words when the families were coming wondering if their loved one was going to be okay, if their loved one was still alive. And you know what Walmart did? They showed up with 3 truckloads of teddy bears. They showed up with stuffed animals. And all we did as chaplains and spiritual care providers in Red Cross, all we did was we handed out stuffed animals. Because there were no words. You don't always know what to do in a tragedy, but before long, there were people lining up asking if they could have one of those stuffed animals. Big, strong men that you wouldn't think would be sensitive were walking around with teddy bears. Because we are a nation who cares. And sometimes we don't know exactly how to care. But I think that's less than not knowing how to do something is okay. What's more important is that the caring, the loving, the open-heartedness is there, is present, and people feel that. Even if you don't have the words, people feel it. And so today, we're here. We have a pretty full sanctuary, and it's nice that we have a full sanctuary, but partly I think we might have more people here today because we care about what Virginia's doing with the shoes. And we care about what Virginia's doing with the shoes because we care about the girls in Iran. And we care about the girls in Iran because we recognize that we are truly interconnected. And so we show up. And so we cry. We shed our tears, because shedding tears means that you care. And there's always usually a Wendy who cries every Sunday. So I'm honored that Peg introduced me to Virginia. I'm honored that I was able to reach out to her, that she said, yes, I want to come. That we have a program director and children's director in Maya when I said I want to do this. And she was outside creating that beautiful chalice. And so in the Methodist Church, the shoes were in the form of a heart. At the Unitarian Church, when you go outside today, the shoes are going to be in the form of a chalice. And then those shoes will go to other places. A few years ago, I talked about the importance of a parking lot, right? You don't ever know what's going to happen in your parking lot, if you're feeding people, if people are sleeping there. Our parking lot will forever have a chalice, the spirit of a chalice of shoes. And that, I think, is how we begin to slowly and gently and lovingly transform the world and turn our country, our world, into something that we want to say that we honor and love and are proud of. And so I thank you all for being here today with us as we intentionally create that transformation. So why don't we close today with one of my favorite hymns, Standing on the Side of Love.